Hallo und herzlich
Welcome to our How to Do video series for nexy, the wireless sensor network solution. My name is Jens Lindemeyer from Steute Technologies. Today's video is about the configuration of groups and their settings, and once again I will be showing how that works using my computer. All sensors and switches within the system are managed by group configuration. In order to access the group configuration, I log into the Sensor Bridge interface and select the tab Groups. Upon delivery, one group is already preset. This is the default group. It cannot be deleted and it is marked with a star, showing that this first group is preset as the standard group. Very important here is that the standard group should never be used in active production processes. This has the simple reason that the standard group automatically lists all sensors which are new to the system. In other words, automatically assigns each new sensor to this group. Once I use a group actively in a production process and transmit information via an interface, for example to the ERP system, then faulty information could result if a new switch has entered the system and is not yet known to the other switches and sensors in the system. If I wish to use a group for my production process, that is, create a new group, I simply click up here on the plus symbol and enter a name for the group, for example line 1 eKanban. Confirm my entry and then I have a new group. Now I can see that this group does not have a star, meaning that it is not the default group and that switches are not automatically included in this group. I must actively assign any new sensors or switches to this group as appropriate. I shall be explaining how to do that in a later video. In addition, I can see that the group is marked as a managed group. This means that this group is active. If I uncheck the box, the group becomes invisible. In the first tab, I can see the group ID. Each group has its own unique ID which cannot be changed. Even if I delete the group and create a new one, the new group would have the ID 14. What I can do is change the name of the group. And I can also add a description, for example, to specify this group further in order to see at a glance what this group involves. With the second tab, Timing, I can set the timings of the sensors. The first step is a wake-up interval. That means a preset wake-up interval tells every sensor within the group how often it must communicate with the system. If I now set this interval to, for example, 15 minutes, then each sensor will transmit a wake-up to the system at the latest after 15 minutes, to say that the sensor is still there, together with its switching status and all further functions. If a sensor is actuated every minute, then it will never send a wake-up notification because the notification is always sent 15 minutes after the last actuation. In contrast, if a sensor is never normally actuated, it will send a wake-up notification every 15 minutes. In the next step, I can set up the switching or timing behavior of the switches and sensors themselves. We distinguish here between two different intervals or behaviors. The first is the cycle time. The cycle time is the time that a sensor must wait after actuation. That means that when I have a sensor which is actuated, it immediately transmits a signal. But then, for a set amount of time, it cannot transmit another signal. The standard setting here is 1000 milliseconds. In other words, 1 second. That means I actuate the sensor, immediately let go, the sensor transmits a signal, but it will not transmit another one until after 1000 milliseconds. The reasoning behind this configuration is to undermine faulty transmission. For example, if I actuate a sensor repeatedly by mistake. With this configuration, I can say to the system, transmit the first signal, but then wait to see whether the second actuation occurs after the allotted interval. or whether it occurred too fast and was therefore a mistake. The second variant is the debounce time. This is slightly different. The debounce time determines how long a sensor must be actuated before it transmits a signal. This is preset to 1 second, and I can change it to, for example, 5 seconds, as I shall demonstrate here. I set it to 500 milliseconds, that is 5 seconds, and then I need to take the sensor and actuate it for at least 5 seconds. Only then will it transmit the signal. This configuration is also intended to undermine any faulty operation. I shall now save this setting by clicking on Save. When I actively use the system, this change will automatically be transferred to all sensors when they begin working within the system. With the last tap, I can make a couple of configurations for the racks. I have two settings I can change here. The first is the roller conveyor angle. The standard setting here is automatic, and normally this setting would be left as it is. But I can uncheck the box and manually adjust the angle if I wish. Personally, I would not recommend this. In addition, the rack tilting sensor has an LED which I can switch on or off using this operation here. When it is switched on, it flashes whenever a signal is transmitted, and this function is deactivated when it is switched off. Different groups can be configured with different behaviors. This means, for example, that I can configure one group for my eCanban application. This has one set of timings which I have already configured, but in line 1, maybe I also have an andon application which I would like to configure with different timings. To do this here, I will create a new group named line 1 andon and will give it a different behavior. For example, a wake up interval of 10 minutes and a shorter debounce time of 2 seconds. And here 500 milliseconds. This would be an example of a completed group configuration. In the next video, we will take a look at how we assign the various sensors to different groups and what we can then do with them. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact us directly. Otherwise, until the next video, and see you then.